All right, so Sgrafitto, again, we're looking at the Matt Metz cup here as the original inspiration piece. And I'm gonna half-ass my way through this demo. So, the thing to do first, I'm gonna give you guys slabs. And the slabs you're gonna see have texture on them from the canvas that they're rolled on. All right, so the first thing to do is to eliminate this texture from here. So you can do that with your blue rib that came with your toolkit. You can also use a wooden rib. You'll find that as the clay gets stiffer, you need to use a stiffer rib to refine it. But you want to start with like a blank canvas, and those of you who have ever painted before know that you do lay down a gesso onto a canvas just to prime it really, but also to take away some of the canvas texture. You don't want peeking through. So you get this nice smooth surface, and then you're going to take a wider brush, and this is where the brushes that came with your toolkits come in really handy, because these are soft bristle brushes, okay? These leave really they leave less marks on the, as they draw the slip across the clay. You know, this is a stiffer bristle, this is a softer bristle, and you want to use a softer bristle if you want to see less brush strokes in your final product. Right now, I'm not really worried about either of those things, but you can see that you can see the brush strokes. So you guys can see those brush strokes, right? Slip doesn't melt. Remember, it is just a clay with pigment added to it. So it will not melt the way that your glazes melt and kind of run and flatten out a surface. These are gonna stay raised like that. So Sgrafitto is what I wanna show you. And you can get your image on there in a couple different ways. The easiest is if you just draw directly on. But let's say you don't have great drawing abilities, but you have the ability to print something out, or you have the ability to, say, just take an image just anywhere that you find it. You can just lay that image on like that. I usually take a pen or a pencil, and I can just draw lines in and do more or less just the outline of what it is that you want to carve in. And you can just peel that back, and you're going to see there's a little bit of a light indentation in there, okay? And we'll do the gun as well. There's a stack of these down there underneath the wedging table. I didn't just go find an image of a gun and a flag out there. Okay, so we do that. We get, you know, a vague idea as to where we want all our carving to be. And I'm gonna keep this though as a reference so I can look. And then you have to decide with Sgrafitto where you want to take away, where you want to leave. Now you can use anything to do Sgrafitto with. In clay, I find it works really well to use these speedball, different linoleum block cutting tools. So there's a U shape, a V shape, and then a lower, wider U shape. So for these, maybe for this, what I can do is perhaps come in and remove clay here in between those lines. Okay, so that is red. This is, and then I want to stop where it is that the gun is. So if I want a really hard edge like that, where's my X-Acto knives? Anybody see my X-Acto knives? Well, I'm gonna grab an X-Acto knife. So the gun I want that and for Sgrafitto, this isn't really the best thing to do. Sgrafitto is really just scratching through a surface to reveal the clay, and you can see this little line doesn't really do that. But what it does is when I pull this up to that and I pull that out, it stops it from cutting. It stops this linoleum block cutting tool from going into where I want that gun image to be. And then inside the gun, maybe I go in and I can do detail with a smaller, like that. And actually, I'm just going to go around the whole outside like that and just define that. So you see how easy it is to scrape through this stuff? Is that a yes?
Yeah.
Okay. You can also go in, you guys have a Sgrafitto tool, or maybe you don't, I forget if they're in your toolkit, but you have one of these thingies, and these are made for Sgrafitto. So the pronged thing will take away, well, it's usually taking away a larger area. This isn't working like that though. But you can draw in with this end here. So let's say you just want to do something simple as a star. Oh, the little things that I just brushed off, don't do that, because it sometimes smears it right into the piece. So you can draw a star on there. That's one thing, but then what else can you do to make this a little bit more interesting, you know? So perhaps you can go in and, like I said, you can use anything to penetrate that layer. A slip that's on top there, it doesn't need to be scraped away, it can just be pushed through. So that might make a little bit more visual interest in there. So Sgrafitto is a pretty simple way to do all this. So the way, let's see, how can I emphasize? The way it could really emphasize that star is I could pull a lot of this stuff off around like that. And that really makes that star, now it looks like it's moving, right? It has that cartoon quality of moving from one side to the other. But if I'm really just trying to bring out and point that star out and have that be the emphasis, then I can remove some of this. And I'm doing it like this, these quick strokes, because I know it's not going to remove all of that material. It's going to leave it. I'm going to have a couple little blue marks there that makes it look like a block printing, like a wood block printing would look. So this is why you have to work these things out in practice, okay? Because you are not going to be good at this the first time you do it, all right? So that's simple Sgrafitto.